Now, we've added a lot of small usability enhancements. So we picked out a few, 10 of them to be exact, and we're going to talk about them. But then again, just keep in mind, these are only a few that we chose to talk about. There's a lot more in the What's New document, okay? So I labeled them here, and I listed the definitions here, 1 through 5, and we'll just talk a little bit about them. Number 1 is the machine coordinate system triad, or the work zero. We've just enhanced the work zero now to look a little bit different than the world triad. So you won't get confused now on, am I displaying the work zero or am I displaying the world coordinate system? So you'll get a better idea with the different, just a graphic display of the triad itself. Now go over to number 2. This is a good one here. Now you can set the tolerance for simulations separately from your cut parameters tab or whatever in the operation dialog itself. Okay, so now you can set the accuracy of the simulation separately. So if you have a large part or just a regular part, and you see that you need a little bit more accuracy in the simulation itself, you can just tighten this volume up, this value up, and rerun the simulation, and you'll get a more accurate display of the simulation itself. Transversely, if it's taking too long to simulate, you can relax this tolerance, and you'll get a much faster simulation, but just bear in mind it's a little bit less accurate. So you can control that separately now. Let's see here. And also, there are 2 options here. If you're in the Express configuration, you don't have the polygonal simulation model, you only have the voxel model. So if you're in the Express, you'll see this value down here at the bottom. You specify spacing for voxel model. If you're above Express, you get the advanced polygonal model, and you'll see this value right here. Okay, and you can also, adjust the slider, similar to in previous 2024 and prior products. You can also adjust it here. This gives you an extra control for various reasons, whether you want it more accurate, you want to slow down or speed up the simulation, or et cetera, et cetera. So that is under simulation tolerance, and that is in the simulation tab of the CAM preferences dialog. Okay. Again, if you got any questions, I know we're going over a lot of material, but we're gonna be going probably a little bit past the hour, so we can get in and look at each of these parts as well. So hang with us. So number 3, we're looking at, this is something that many users have asked for. If you've ever gone into your machining job tree and you've copied an operation or you've cloned an operation, you would have noticed that this was appended to the toolpath name, -copy. So every time you copied it, you'd have -copy. If you copied the copy, you'd have -copy. So it just gets very time consuming to get in there and get rid of these extra text that's in the name of the toolpath. So now what we've done, we've allowed, giving you a control method of just eliminating that completely, or you can append whatever you want to append, and then also you can append an increment number. So basically, let's say you kept the -copy, your first one would be -copy, your next clone one would be -copy number 1, and then your next would be -copy number 2, 3, et cetera, if you want to use the append number. Or again, if you don't want to see it at all and you just want to copy with it being the exact same name, you just uncheck these, and that'll take care of that for you. Again, this is something that's been requested quite a few times over the past year, because people use, our product is very has usability built in, so you can copy and paste operation types as you need them, but now it gives you the opportunity to define the name a little bit better of those copied operation types. So that is number 3, copy cloning naming conventions. So let's look over here at number 4. We've also on the post-processing tab, you can't see the tab here, but the post-processing tab of the CAM preferences dialog, we have these options now broken out to save the post to a file, or always load the post from a file when you open it. Okay, so those are broken out separately now. And then just to retract here on number 3, this is the user interface tab of the CAM preferences dialog. Okay, so this would be number 4, would be the save post preferences that we've broken out, okay, onto the post-processing tab of the CAM preferences dialog. Number 5, reset preferences. This is very, very handy if you've made some adjustments in your CAM preferences. There's a lot of tabs here that you can adjust, as you see them up here. And now things are not quite going the way you want them as far as the default operation of the CAM module itself. Now you can back up and say, reset to my defaults. So it'll reset it to the factory defaults that we used when you installed the product. It's very, very, very helpful for you to use this if you need to. Okay, so let's see. I think I have another slide for usability. Yeah. So this is number 6 through 10, and I have them listed here. So number 6, we've added some enhancements to the select post-processor dialog. And this is the dialog where you have your drop-down selection of your current post-processor. We've added a couple enhancements here, okay, that allows you to automatically set it to the default folder. So if you've gone in and you've adjusted this folder to load post-processor files from, okay, if you pick this little button here with 3 dots on it and you went in and you changed it to where you thought your post was, and then you realize, well, your post isn't there, it's actually in my install path. Now you can just pick this button and it'll automatically change it back to the default location of the folder where to load post-processor files from. So this will be very helpful if you need to use it. And then also, this one is very, very helpful here. Copy any modified posts from my previous version. We have a lot of contact with support department about, especially when users install a new update, okay, they lose where their posts are. In other words, they may be using a modified post that they've used for years, okay? It's been modified several times, so they want to use that same post. But they may have copied that post or used it from the install path of the previous version, okay? This option right here, excuse me for those pop-ups, this option right here allows you to copy any modified posts from a previous version. It'll go and grab them, and I guess it'll copy them in the install path of the new version. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but I think that's what's going to happen there. So it'll just make sure that you have them, less support calls. You can get to work right quickly after you do an upgrade, and you won't have any problem with your posts. Now, number 7, enable, disable information dialog. We have had this request for quite some time. Maybe not in all of them at one time, but at one dialog or the other dialog, people don't want to see the dialog. I mean, they understand what the dialog means, but they don't want it to pop up every time and have to do another click, to close it or to turn it off. So we've now provided a section in the user interface tab of the CAM preferences where you can control pretty much 90% of the dialogues that pop up. You can turn them off or on here from this portion of the dialog. Okay, and that's very, very helpful. As you become more familiar with the product, you know what these pop-ups mean. Yeah, I understand it. Let's just turn them off for now. So you can do that here. That's number 7. Number 8 is another very helpful enhancement. Maintain order of control geometry region. So in each of the toolpath methods, you'll see that you have your area where you can select your control geometry, be it part regions, void regions, et cetera, et cetera. Now, previously, you may have thought that they were processed in the order that you see them here, but there's a lot of processing going on in the background, which causes that maybe not to be the case. So Joe, you can jump in here and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
let me go ahead and explain this. Yeah, let me explain this. So previously in profiling, let's say you selected a bunch of curves. There would be a lot of pre-processing that happens to those curves. What we typically do is we check for self-intersections. We check for endpoint matching curves. So if there are two curves that are endpoint matched, we actually merge them into one internally. And then if they have self-intersections, we actually attempt to remove those self-intersections so the the toolpath methods will work correctly. So there's a lot of pre-processing that happens. And even sometimes we refine some of the curves if change the tolerance on the curve sometimes to make things simpler or more refined for the toolpaths. But if now with this maintain order of regions, if you check that box, we are not going to touch those curves that you input. So all those curves that you input are going to be treated separately and independently, and they're going to be treated as single curves, and each of them will be cut independently. So people have asked us this, especially people who are creating geometry that is clean, and they want to maintain the geometry that they create for the machining operation. So this is why this button was added.
Okay, let me ask you a question while we're on this, Joe.
I think we need to move on, Don. So
okay.
because we're almost at the 1 hour mark, so we still got the demo to show.
Okay. So that was maintain order control geometry. Number 9, we mentioned this about the clear flats and the add stock. We've already talked about that. Number 10, add stock allowance to island tops. This is similar to the add stock in 3-axis, but this is in the 2-axis methods where you have the clear island tops method. The clear island tops option. So you can add the stock there as well.